You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie, and I'm proud of the life I have, surrounded by military and aware just how big the world really is. I have a unique perspective on life and the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View. Alright, it's Jessie. How y'all doing out there today? Yes, I miss you when we're not talking. What can I say? Another day, another round of stuff to talk about. There always seems to be something, or is it just me? Now, before I get started, first of all, I'd like to give a little shout out to G. You don't know who G is? I'm talking about the conservative curmudgeon. It's the show right before mine? Yeah, that's him. Now, he always has a very focused, very well put together show. Now, he does talk U.S. politics. But he does a really good job with it. So, like I said, yes, G, thanks for the shout out tonight. And yes, I will be following you for the foreseeable future. Alright. Now, what else? Well, you will be seeing a lot of interesting things going on. And I'm not talking on the station. I'm talking about in the world. Things are going to get more interesting. And unfortunately, this also has the potential to mean more bloody. Now, there's several things I'm going to touch on. I'm going to do kind of region overviews. It's something I haven't done in a while. And yes, you are probably going to want to break out your good old connect the dot sheets. Because you know I love to play connect the dots. So, let's get started. We're going to start in what's pretty much one of my favorite regions, or at least not necessarily favorite, but the one that seems to show up all the time. Yeah. Asia Pacific. Come on. You knew it was coming. You knew Asia Pacific region had to play a role in this. Don't look at me like that. We've got China with their One Belt, One Road project. Yes, they are attempting to do a new Silk Road. Yes, this is where they are investing, in some cases, millions of dollars in other countries' infrastructure in order to get their infrastructure up to par so that China can trade with them. No, I'm not talking just a little bit of trade. I'm talking a lot of trade. As in changing where some of the routes go. Some of the trade things you see in this day and age. What? Are you accusing me of not having show prep just because I didn't bang it on the table? Alright. No, it doesn't sound like a book. But it is there. It's always there, whether I bang it or not. So, you've got China with their One Belt, One Road. And most recently, they were investing in places like Iran and Africa. What they're attempting to do is string together the belt refers to land-based Silk Road type policies. Okay? And yes, it could reshape global trade. This is how big we are talking. Yes. It's a development strategy proposed by the Chinese government that focuses on connectivity and cooperation between Eurasian countries, starting with the PRC, the People's Republic of China, and the ocean-going maritime Silk Road. Yes, maritime. So we're not just talking land. We're talking land and sea. The past 3 years have been focused on infrastructure, investment, construction materials, railway, highway, automobile, real estate, power grid, iron, and steel. That's a lot of important stuff. And some of their trading partners, let's see. There's the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. I know, new stuff. But it's not all that new. It's just new to you. This is the stuff that I spend my time reading and digging into when there isn't something just absolutely breaking in the news. And for once, I had such a day. So you wonder what I do when you don't think I'm doing anything. Well, this is what I do. Alright, so the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is intended to rapidly modernize Pakistani infrastructure. Yes, you heard me. Modernize Pakistani infrastructure. Well, that may not be such a bad thing, right? Strengthen its economy by the construction of transportation networks, energy projects, and special economic zones. And would you like to know when this stuff started? 2016. And you want to know the value of the project? $62 billion. Yes, billion with a B. Now, yes, that's money from China, but it's one of those things, this could have unintended Sorry there, folks. Mr. Frog is just trying to stick his 2 cents in. This means this could have unintended consequences, because I can guarantee you that upgraded Pakistani infrastructure won't just benefit the Chinese trade routes. It'll benefit the entire nation, which in many cases is good. But what about when you're talking about terrorists using those upgraded roads? Exactly. Then we're talking the maritime routes, Maritime Silk Road. It connects Southeast China, Indonesia, the Indian subcontinent, Arabian Peninsula, Somalia, Egypt, and finally ends in Europe. Now, this has been going on since forever, and they are working on trying to bring it back, upgrade it, upgrade ports. Now, the maritime route does overlap with historic Southeast Asian maritime trade, the spice trade, Indian Ocean, all that stuff. This is nothing new. This goes back to the 15th century. So why is this important? Well, if it's an upgraded cargo port, who benefits? That's my first question. Who's the primary beneficiary? Well, China will obviously benefit, but here's the thing. Who else and what other entities will eventually use these ports? China is putting approximately $100 billion of funding into this project. Some of this is going to places such as Iran, Somalia, India, Pakistan. Now, I have zero problems with countries deciding who they trade with. They are, in fact, for all intents and purposes, sovereign nations. It is their right to do so. However, I always look skeptically at what's going on and who's influencing who when we're discussing one nation spending money on another nation's domestic infrastructure. I mean, there are things such as maybe helping a country upgrade one airport or one runway so you can fly tourist flights in. Sure. A lot of African nations have one or two good airports and one or two decent runways. Now, then you have the Ice Silk Road, Russia and China. Don't forget who Russia and China are close to. Remember? You have forgotten who Kim Jong-un just came back from visiting? I leave you guys alone for a few hours and you forget that Kim Jong-un just came back from visiting Xi Jinping in China? Alright. Yep, he did. Now, I did find it fascinating. Fascinating. That while he was there, he said to Xi Jinping, oh, we'll denuclearize. At the same time, his country started spinning up a new nuclear reactor. Yep. That doesn't sound like he's going to denuclearize anytime soon. You just got this thing running. And you're going to take it offline and destroy it? I don't think so. Now, it's possible that there may be some talks of maybe limiting various, they claim this nuclear reactor is for power. Well, I can assure you that North Korea does need electricity. Do you realize there is only 1 day a year? 1 day a year where North Koreans actually have and are guaranteed to have electricity. Yes, you heard me. Imagine if that's all you ever had. Electricity 1 day a year. It's seen as an extreme luxury. Now, so we've got China trying to take over the South China Sea and trying to stretch their wings and put out more trade than most people want to even think about. They're also becoming a large strategic partner. In many cases, and not just for the United States. By the way, little insight on China and Kim Jong-un. First of all, President Xi Jinping is scrambling to maintain China's position as a key regional player on the Korean Peninsula. Because North Korea has been kind of going, yeah, that's nice, North Korea, we'll do what we want. China has turned down years of requests to meet with North Korea at this level. But within weeks of Trump's decision, it had Kim Jong-un in Beijing. And China is probably seething, or Xi Jinping is probably seething, because there wasn't time to properly stage manage the meetings. Yes, China, just like North Korea, spends a significant amount of time putting people and things in the right places for those perfect images and perfect news stories. So, yeah, of course, they did the meals, tours, photo shoots, but they may have wanted to avoid the global speculation following motorcades and the arrival of Kim Jong-un's train into Beijing. Now, Kim Jong-un's trip has been deemed an unofficial visit. Why? We don't know. It could be because it was a shortage of time. It could be because they haven't met much. Because they have put months into planning. To host other countries. Now, if you think all this pressure is one-sided, nope. It puts a lot more pressure on South Korea, which is going to be having talks with North Korea in coming weeks prior to any meeting with Donald Trump. Yep, you heard me. Now, North Korea may have decided to go to see how to handle President Trump during negotiations. North Korea may have gone so they didn't get cut off from one of their primary investors. There's no telling. I don't read minds. But the Asia-Pacific trip is a huge signal. And yes, China can influence North Korea in many, many ways. Now, don't forget, Xi Jinping, while he is quote-unquote elected, he is essentially a dictator. What? Yeah, he's a dictator. Here's why I say that. Xi Jinping can never be ousted at the ballot box again. That right for his people has been taken away. He will essentially get to rule for life. That isn't something I want to see. What about the Cultural Revolution from Mao? Oh, and by the way, because of all the attention China's getting, Japan is now getting upset. What? Yeah, Japan's getting upset. Because they're slipping into the background about these talks. Nobody's talking about them and their role or the threats that have been made upon their nation. And that is something China will not let stand. Alright, folks. We have pretty well reached the bottom of the hour. And I'm going to let a small cat out of the bag here. If you check the KLRN Radio website under schedule, go to KLRNradio.com and hit that schedule tab. You're going to see the time slot after me starting next week says blocked for new show. It doesn't give you any hints or any clues, but it does say blocked for next show. So that means something's a paw. Alright, folks, we do have to pay those radio station bills. And I'm going to see about possibly taking a slightly shorter commercial break tonight, but I have not decided. So, I will see you on the other side.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
And I'll keep this world from dragging me down.
Alright, thank y'all for hanging in there with me while I paid those radio station bills. And no, I did not cut my commercial break short tonight. Maybe I'll start doing that one in the future. Alright. Now, got a couple of things for you. And somebody hanging out in the chat room with me mentioned that North Korea is just going to absolutely laugh at inspectors. Absolutely crack up. I was thinking I wouldn't be surprised if some of those inspectors get arrested. They don't have to have a charge. They can just arrest them. But that's how North Korea works. They arrested Otto Warmbier just for touching a propaganda poster. Alright, we are going to move on to another region. Yep, another place we're going to talk about. Want a hint? I'll get you a hint. You really think Russia is going to take this laying down? They've just had 100 diplomats kicked out of countries, mostly in NATO. And I have a little bit of audio, I think, pulled up on that. Give me just a moment. Yes. It's not perfectly prepped, but you're going to bear with me.
Consultations have resulted so far in the expulsion of over 140 Russian officials by over 25 NATO allies and partners. This is a broad, strong and coordinated international response. And as part of that response, NATO is unified in taking further steps. I have today withdrawn the accreditation of 7 staff at the Russian mission to NATO. I will also deny the pending accreditation request for 3 others. And the North Atlantic Council has reduced the maximum size of the Russian mission to NATO by 10 people in line with my decision. This will bring the maximum size down to 20. This sends a clear message to Russia that there are costs and consequences for its unacceptable and dangerous pattern of behavior.
All right, so the Great Russian Bear just got its tail spanked on the world stage. Now, when animals feel threatened, they generally come out growling, snarling, fighting, and all kinds of other things. Russia's already said they're going to respond in kind. I'm waiting to see what they do. How many diplomats from how many countries are they going to kick out? Because that is how these things go. Yes, that is how these things work. We kick out diplomats from your country. They kick out diplomats from our country. And that's one of those crazy things. It just happens. It exists. It is. And there's not much you can do about it. Now, a brief update on the whole Skripal incident. Yes, the Skripal incident. That's what started all these diplomats getting kicked out. Russia went after a former spy who was living in the UK with the UK's permission, presumably under their protection of some sort, at least in the early days. And they put poison or a nerve agent on his front door. Yes, they have released the fact that the nerve agent Novichok was on the Skripal's front door. And then, oh, by the way, that detective, Sergeant Nick Bailey, he is still hospitalized because he went to the house and was one of the first on the scene. This disclosure intensifies the manhunt. Now, when you attack a bear, if you don't kill them, how do they react? They get mad. They fight back. Does anybody think Russia is going to take this lying down? Russia has already said they are going to look at appropriate responses, quote unquote. And quote, a tough response. Yes, Russia is vowing to retaliate for expelled envoys. A top Russian diplomat said Moscow is preparing a tough response to Tuesday's announcement about the expulsion of even more diplomats. The United States, European Union, and some other countries announced that they would expel a total of more than 130 Russian diplomats in response to the Novichok incident. Yes. And this is putting us almost back into a Cold War footing. Yes, the Cold War is coming back around. You know how fashion trends come and go? Guess what? So do diplomatic trends. I mean, they're not going to stop. It's become a global war of words. I mean, come on. Anybody think that Russia's actually going to roll over and play dead and let this happen? No, it's Putin's goal to reunify.
I think that
it's Putin's goal to reunify the Soviet Union. Yes, it is his goal to reunify the Soviet Union, or at least as much of it as he can get his grimy mitts on. The tensions that are there have not been seen since the Cold War, because normally you don't get this big of an outcry. But it happened. And it's just absolutely despicable when one country feels they can attack people on the sovereign soil of another country. And I'm going to say that no matter where that sovereign soil is. That means if it is on a military vessel, that's still sovereign soil. Sorry, folks, it is. Just to remind you, I've got Theresa May's wonderful accounting of recent Russian aggressions.
Mr. Speaker, this action has happened against a backdrop of a well-established pattern of Russian state aggression. Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea was the first time since the Second World War that one sovereign nation has forcibly taken territory from another in Europe. Russia has fomented conflict in the Donbass, repeatedly violated the national airspace of several European countries, and mounted a sustained campaign of cyber espionage and disruption. This has included meddling in elections and hacking the Danish Ministry of Defence and the Bundestag, among many others. During his recent State of the Union address, President Putin showed video graphics of missile launches, flight trajectories and explosions, including the modelling of attacks on the United States, with a series of warheads impacting in Florida.
Does that sound like a peaceful, happy country, content with dealing with its own domestic issues? By the way, speaking of Russian domestic issues, yes, I'm going to bring up one of those. Mourners were grieving during funerals following the deadly Russian shopping mall fire. And as with all these incidents, stories of heroism emerged on a national day of mourning across Russia for victims of the Kemerovo shopping mall fire. Flags were lowered to half-staff and a national day of mourning was put in place as the first of the 64 victims of the inferno that engulfed a shopping mall in Siberia were laid to rest. Two elementary school siblings, Konstantin and Maria Agarkov, were buried alongside their grandmother, who perished with them in the fire. A high school teacher, Tatiana Darslaya, rescued her daughter, then ran back into the mall to save others. She saved several kids, but did not make it out of the building herself. A 17-year-old military cadet, Dmitry Pulkin, led 3 children to safety through the flames. But the prevailing moods in the Siberian city of 500,000 people have been of anger and grief. Thousands of residents have taken to the main square to express their outrage at local and national corruption for allowing mall operators to skirt safety regulations, which turned the Winter Cherry Mall into a death trap. The movie theater in which 41 children, most of the 41 children who perished were located, the fire exit doors were blocked or locked. The fire alarms were turned off. Now, Russia has arrested 5 people, including the mall's technical director and a security guard. They've been accused of turning off the fire system. By the way, the sprinklers were also inoperable. And the fire alarm system had been out of operation for at least a week. And they had a hand-operated backup that wasn't used. And why were the emergency exits locked? These questions and more plague the families of those who perished in the fire. All the while, Russia is trying to act like a bear on the world stage. Need I remind you, as we work our way around the world a little bit here, Russia is propping up Bashar al-Assad, trading with Iran, getting ready to build a land bridge to North Korea. Yes, they say that land bridge is going to be for trade, but I'm thinking it's for when North Korea is no longer so heavily sanctioned. I'm thinking that bridge is for quick and expeditious movement of military troops and nothing else. Yes, I'm thinking it is so that Russia can back up North Korea if China doesn't act. You ask why I say this. Do you recall the story late last year where Russia flew a military aircraft into Seoul, South Korean airspace? Yeah, it happened. And if they're willing to fly planes into other countries' airspaces, attempt to influence foreign elections. Now, I'm not saying they're the only country that has done that, because our country is guilty as well. Under Barack Obama, our country attempted to influence the election of Israel's prime minister against the current sitting prime minister of Benjamin Netanyahu. That would be the equivalent of Russia coming in and going up against our sitting president. This is not the way the world is supposed to work. Focus on your own domestic issues. Act when you're needed. I have no problem with Russia attempting to help Syria defeat Daesh or ISIS. I do have a problem when Russia promises the United Nations that they will ensure that Syria has no chemical weapons, but yet they turn a blind eye when Russia uses those very own chemical weapons against, when Syria uses those chemical weapons against their own people. There is no way Russia didn't know. If you've got proof that Russia didn't know, I will be happy to listen. I challenge you to bring me not propaganda, but proof. You want to try? Email me at jessie'spov@klrnradio.com. Hit me up on Twitter at Radio Host Jessie. Russia is either complicit or absolutely inept. Why should we trust their word on anything? They are quickly losing their rights to complain about much of anything. And I say this as things are looking crazier by the minute. Remember, here's what Nikki Haley had to say on the floor of the United Nations Security Council.
And we know that for years, Russia has looked the other way while their Syrian friends use these despicable weapons of war. Russia is complicit in the Assad regime's atrocities. Will the Russian Federation say anything at all today about the suffering caused by Assad's barbaric tactics?
Yes, Nikki Haley stood up and said, you're not getting away with this. And by the way, just as a reminder, for those of you who who are either new to the show or tend to forget, Russia used its veto power to kill the Joint Investigative Mechanism of the United Nations, which was investigating none other than chemical weapons use in Syria. All right, I do have a Good Guys with Guns segment. No, it is not my typical segment, typical story, but it's well worth sharing.
I never fired a shot to harm one soul. Self-defense is my number one goal. To the politicians, don't be so stupid. I'm keeping my arms to protect my kids. None of the gun laws ever stop the criminal. More CCPs will keep crime minimal.
All right. Evidently, in Michigan, there has been an annual Build Your Own AR-15 class. This class was scheduled long before the Parkland shooting. This class is an annual event. It was 4 days after the March for Our Lives protests across the country, in the wake of the mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, when residents of a Michigan suburb attended a Build Your Own AR-15 class at a local VFW hall. The class is run by a local gun dealer. For all those of you who are about to jump down my throat, this means anyone who wants to possess the firearm they are building must fill out the background check paperwork and pass it. This is the third year the class is being held in this space, and recent protests and gun law debates did not stop them. They did consider canceling, but owing to the great response we are getting, they decided to go ahead with the class. There were about 24 protesters outside the hall where the Build Your Own AR-15 class was being held. Chris Walden owns a gun business in nearby Battle Creek. There are 4 monthly sessions where enrollees buy the various parts and build their own AR-15s. He said the timing was unfortunate, but that the Parkland shooting shouldn't stop people from buying or building guns. It's a horrible event. We feel bad about this, but the gun in and of itself did not commit this crime. The individual who was failed by the system committed this crime. By the way, Walden is a Marine Corps veteran and said the entire class is about responsible gun ownership. And that is something people need more than ever in our country. By the way, more than 60 people attended the class, which was bigger than past classes. I thought that was a rather bright note to end the show on. Yes, there was plenty of other topics I would have loved to have gotten to tonight, but I am almost out of time. I want to thank y'all for hanging in there with me. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at Radio Host Jesse. You can email me at the station at Jesse's POV at KLRNRadio.com. Now, for those of you who aren't keeping up with that KLRNRadio.com schedule, you know, KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign, America Off the Rails has moved back to its 11 p.m. Eastern time slot. And I know that it's actually started last night, but this means that America Off the Rails will now air Monday through Thursday with Robinson and Wright in its time slot on Friday. And I thank you guys, and I will catch you again tomorrow night.